Password protection versus encryption. Which is the best way to keep your data secure? We all need to protect our data, but what is the best way? Password protection or encryption? This video will explore the pros and cons of each, so you can make an informed decision about which will best suit your needs. Learn more about the important differences between password protection and encryption and how they can help keep your data secure. Both have their own advantages and disadvantages, so it's important to understand the difference between the two before deciding which is the best option for you. Password protection is a security measure that requires a user to enter a password in order to access a file or system. However, the downside is that if someone gets hold of your password, they will be able to access your data. Encryption, on the other hand, is a process of transforming readable data into an unreadable format using a key or password. The downside of encryption is that it can be more complex to set up and use than password protection, and if you lose your encryption key or password, you will not be able to access your data. Types of password protection. 1. Basic authentication. Basic authentication is the most basic type of password protection. It involves storing a username and password in plain text on the server. 2. Hashed authentication. Hashed authentication is more secure than basic authentication since the passwords are not stored in plain text on the server. 3. Salted authentication. Salted authentication adds an additional layer of security by concatenating a random string, called a salt, to the password before hashing it. 4. Two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication adds an additional layer of security by requiring two factors for authentication instead of just one. Advantages and disadvantages of password protection. On the plus side, passwords offer a simple and effective way to keep your information private. They can also be changed easily if you suspect that your current password has been compromised. On the downside, passwords can be forgotten or lost, and they may not provide as much security as encryption. Types of encryption. There are two main types of encryption: symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric encryption is when the same key is used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Asymmetric encryption is when different keys are used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Advantages and disadvantages of encryption. There are two main ways to protect your data: encryption and password protection. Both have their advantages and disadvantages, so it's important to choose the right method for your needs. The downside is that passwords can be guessed or stolen, and if someone gets access to your device, they may be able to bypass the password protection. Comparison between password protection and encryption. One main difference between the two is that encryption is more secure than password protection. Another difference is that encryption can be used to protect both online and offline data, whereas password protection is only effective for online data. Overall, encryption is the more secure option for protecting your data. Summaries. Both password protection and encryption are effective tools for keeping your data secure, each having its own strengths and weaknesses. Password protection offers a convenient way to authenticate yourself, but can be vulnerable to brute force attacks if not used correctly. Encryption is the most reliable form of security available, as it essentially renders any stolen data unusable without the correct key or passphrase. Ultimately, choosing between these two methods depends on your individual needs and preferences. Neither one is necessarily better than the other, so make sure you do thorough research before making a decision. Thanks for watching video. Goodbye.